Hey guys, welcome into episode 46 of Coffee and Chel. I'm Sleeves, joined by my two co-hosts, Kesso and Padre. It's been a week, another week of you being a dad. Kesso, are you surviving? What's the
Dude,
word?
I'm barely surviving. I've never
Uh-oh.
been more tired in my life. Like last night, I got 6 hours of sleep. That was the most I think I've gotten in the 3 weeks. This is pure torture right now. I'm thinking like I was so tired. I'm like, oh, we got to go on talk about hockey ultimate team,
Let's
talk
go.
about presentation. I'm like, what is there to talk about?
The
But it's always
biggies.
fun talking to you guys. So you got to keep me up for like another little bit, and then I can go to sleep.
All right, sounds good, Padre. What about you? You had a big weekend, Padre. Tell us about it.
I did. I'm a fantasy camp champion again.
Let's
My
go.
fourth. It's my fourth title. I've won two in Nashville, now two in St. Louis. But yeah, it was a fun weekend. I got to hang out with a lot of former Blues players, Jamal Mayers, Brad Boys, Cam Jansen, a few Barrett Jackman. There was some cool guys there. It's fun to hang out with those guys, hear the stories and stuff that you're not allowed to be
You're not
I
privy
guess
to.
open. Yeah, you're not privy to unless you're like in the room. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Chris Pronger was there. It was pretty awesome.
Who is the one dude that was just trying way too hard?
That played in the NHL
Yeah.
because there was some pro guys there that didn't play in the NHL that were going Game 7. But the guys that try hard that played pro, I mean, I guess I would have to say Cam Jansen. He's
Yeah?
like my best. He's my like best friend, I guess, that's out there, and he's a mile a minute, man. His energy, like I'm exhausted from the weekend, and I didn't even go like he went hard all weekend, on and off the ice, and I am just exhausted from being around him because he is a mile a minute, and you guys know me, I could talk to a wall, but he is just high energy. We'll have him on eventually on this podcast. I'm telling you right now, and he is very excited. I told Kesso and Sleaze this when I told him about, I'm doing this video game podcast, we're trying to, integrate like real NHL in the video game. And he's like, yeah, I can talk games. I play Elder Scroll. I play Oblivion. I do all this. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, this will be hilarious then.
Let's go. All right. Well, dude, I'm glad you had a good weekend. Kessa, I hope you survive. I mean, hey, good news is it's only like the busiest time of the year as a content creator in like 2.5 weeks. So there's that. Is it 3 weeks? 3 weeks.
Yeah. How was
Great.
your weekend? You're closing in on 75 hard, right?
Dude, I'm close. So yeah, I finished day 70 today. I didn't do much this weekend really. I just hung out with my wife. We did like a full like clean of our house. And then you know
There
what?
you
There's
go.
nothing like going into a week with your house clean. My hand is absolutely destroyed from baseball, and I have one more game left finally. And if I don't win, I'll be extremely rattled because like when you get to a certain age and there's like not much else to play for, right? But like
Right. That's
like
it.
the rec sports is like all you got when it comes
Oh
to like
yeah.
competition. I have done some damage to my wrist that like could make me even worse at Chell, which just sounds so dumb. That as long as I win, I'll make it won't be as bad. But
I was at dinner this weekend too, by the way, and my mom goes, "Hey, I saw that guy you do the podcast with is doing 75 hard. That's pretty cool."
let's
I'm like,
go.
yeah. So
Wait,
mommy
how did
Madre
she
is a
see
fan of
this?
no sleeves.
How did she see that?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Like she like
wondering.
looked at my Twitter or something, and
Let's
she
go.
saw that I was doing this podcast, and she's like, she just clicked on like one of your names, and I guess she clicked on Sleevesy, and she saw the 75 hard stuff because obviously Andy Frasilla's from St. Louis, and
Yep.
it's kind of a big deal around here. So yeah,
Dude,
pretty
the
funny
the
though.
water is still the hardest. Like
I bet.
for anyone that doesn't like do like construction or like moving, like drinking a gallon of water for me is like the only time I'm thirsty is like when I go and do like my two rounds of cardio. But like other than that, man, I don't drink a lot. I'm just sitting here, right? So the water was definitely the hardest stuff because it's about to be 11 p.m. is the time we record this, and I still have like a quarter of a half like a quarter of a gallon left. Like, yeah, it is
How,
what
how
it
big
is.
is that jug right there?
This
Is
is a
that like
half gallon.
so you have to do two of those a
Two
day?
of these, and I've got like yeah. I
How
got a
many
half
times
left.
you waking up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom?
Dude, there's some nights where like I've had to stay up to like 1:30 and I'm literally 30 minutes. I'm just pounding water to get this down. And then it's like 3:45, 4:10, 5 a.m. I'm just like, God, it's so frustrating. And it's been 75 days or 70 days. I have no cravings for chips or like salty
There you
foods,
go.
which is my vice. And same with bread. I haven't had bread either. Which is like probably the most rewarding thing. Obviously, the weight loss. Like I'm down like 27 pounds, but I'm excited to be done it, and then like kind of just roll with and adjust to some things. Like you know, like again, I don't need a gallon of water a day. Like there's really
Yeah.
unless you
No.
unless you are a pro athlete or you know you work construction in the middle of August, like you really don't need a gallon of water in a day. It's such an overkill. So that'll be nice to dial that back to like half or something like normal. But no, it's been good. I'm glad it'll be done to say that I did it once, and then I'll just I don't know pick up something else to do. But I kind of want to do like a content creator like 75 hour that I make like a YouTube video, a TikTok, Instagram post, Twitch stream. Like all in one go, and you've got to go
Dude,
and do a
that'd be a great
45-minute
idea.
workout. Yeah, like I think that's what I
thought you
might
were
do.
about to say you're gonna ask other content creators to do 75 hard because that might be a good thing for some people. in this community.
There
God,
won't be.
I have to tell you, I would probably die if I tried that. Like, especially right now, just with all the sitting I've been doing.
It's
I don't think I could do it.
It's funny because like a lot of people like that ask me about it. They like you work out twice a day, and like the first thing you think was like doing light weights and whatnot. And I did that for like the first 2 weeks. One of my workouts, one of them has to be outside, and then one of them could be whatever, as long as you work out for 45 minutes. And I was at the gym for like one of my workouts every day for like the first week. I just really didn't enjoy it anymore. I'm just not like because I was so out of shape. I was in the worst shape of my life. I just didn't feel like going to the gym. So like he says like in his thing that you can literally just run or walk, like as long as you're not like strolling, right? So I've literally just walked twice a day, 45 minutes a day, and like that's easy, like that because I throw a podcast on, I zone out, and like it's nothing, and it's nice to be like outside and like actually move around. So that part wasn't that difficult, but the water and the reading is a little difficult for me too. But I found a book I actually really enjoy. It's actually Cassie, you might like. It's called the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, who's like a kind of a
I don't know
cringy.
that one.
He's kind of a cringy YouTube creator, like self-help guy who's like a billionaire or a multi-millionaire, and he kind of like in like the same vein as like Vaynerchuk, but like a lot more bro. Like not as like
Okay.
not as you know like you know what I mean. Not
Dude, if you're trying to sell me on this book, you're doing like the worst job.
yeah, like the
already.
one thing about it, it's called the 10X rule, and it's basically how to like just like 10X your efforts into like everything. And it kind of hit home with me because that's what I basically did with YouTube, where I just posted 500 videos in like a year-long span. So it's kind of
Yeah.
just hit home. But no, it's
I
been
got a
alright.
good book for you coming out on October 25th. I'm making an appearance in a book by Stephen Wino. It's an emergency goalie book, so I'll have to
Wino.
send you one.
That's
yeah, it's gonna
sick.
be sick.
Yo, let's
Yeah,
go.
I need a copy of that
Autographed.
on my bookshelf
Excited to
right
read it
behind
just
me.
because it's like fun. It's like cool. Like it's cool
Yeah.
stories from all these different emergency goalies, and he like called me about it. I don't know 6-7 months ago, and he did like a whole thing with me, and I'm excited to read it though.
Is Ayers like probably a huge portion of it because he's got to be
Yeah.
the most famous one.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna even go back to like that guy that got in Philadelphia back in the day, and he was like a Temple goalie or something. I mean, there's so many crazy
Wasn't-
stories. So I'm just
wasn't
excited to read it.
Glass in Chicago, wasn't he emergency goal like with the
No, that was Scott Foster.
That's
Glass is
it.
the guy that was on the greatest world junior
Yeah,
team ever, Team
yeah.
Canada,
Yeah.
and he came. But that was a cool story nonetheless because all those years he didn't make it, and then he finally made the NHL. So
that was it.
Scott
that was
Foster was the accountant. That's why I like
that's
that.
you.
Yeah, dude, that's why I was like,
you.
yeah, I love that guy. I got to get his jersey.
All right, guys. So we did get some Hut news. We got the Hut presentation and the presentation deep dive, and
Pretty shallow.
yeah. See, like it's just further hammering home that like obviously this year cross console is like just a giant undertaking for them, and I think we have to start treating like EA as like not a AAA development company and almost like an indie company in terms of like because their resources are so small. Like in comparison, everyone sees them under the EA banner, and National Hockey League is one of the biggest sports in the world. But it's just like so. You know, we get cross console, and we knew that would take a majority of the resources, and like I feel like this would have never been in like they would never put a focus on this if it wasn't like, oh, we need something kind of thing.
Yeah.
But so for anyone that hasn't watched, go back and watch the presentation, deep dive. But essentially, we got a lot of things that man, they love to bring stuff back and hype the fact that they brought stuff back and like not really innovate. Which was kind of the theme. Maybe I'm a little bit too critical. I will say this before we get into it. Everything they added back in, good. Like, it's not bad. But
It's all
it is.
positive.
It's all positive. It is just, it's tough. That is the selling point of the things that they showed. So, Kesso, you watched the presentation deep dive. What kind of stood out to you, and what were your initial thoughts on it?
Dude, the first thing that stood out to me, so I didn't watch it at first because I don't know what I was doing. I'm like, I don't really care myself about the presentation, but I saw somebody had a tweet and it was a screen grab of the Stanley Cup. So after you win the Stanley Cup, you know, the players that were on your roster get put on there, and Joe NHL
Joe
was listed
NHL.
on the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I almost commented on it. I was like, dude, sick edit. Like I thought somebody photoshopped that in
Oh.
like that quick. I thought it was like a great Photoshop. And then I'm like, let me go watch this video. And like there it is. You watch it like 2 minutes in. Joe NHL's in the video. Like I wondered, did they do that as an Easter egg or was that just an accident?
I think it's just because like they like that's like your creative player and it's been Joe NHL.
Yeah.
Now it or yeah, never mind. It's yeah. So Joe NHL, he wins the cup. So that is cool to see. I will say that the graphic that comes up, it's nice that it's rewarding. You know that like when you went in franchise mode, so much of it is just like a little thing that says "Congratulations, the Toronto Maple Leafs Stanley Cup champions," and it's like just like the black like normal screen. Now
It's
they
just
get
like a text box.
yeah, it's like it's mind-boggling. Now you get a little bit more rewarding reward from it, so that was nice to see. Also, way to troll by EA, showing the Toronto Maple Leafs as the Stanley Cup champions is like absolutely confirming that they have no shot next year. Like, what I would not want any part of that if I was a Leafs fan, but nonetheless, it was pretty cool that they put that on. Padre, what were your thoughts on it on the deep dive?
Obviously, I put out that tweet about it being like NHL 10. Kessa sent me this funny screenshot. I'm like, Kessa, can I post this? This is so funny.
I was like, you know what? I'm not going to post this because one of these days I am going to get canned from the Game Changer program for being too critical. So I was like, Padre, you can have this one.
Padre, you be the bad boy. I'll take it. But no, I mean, it's just, I like Slee said, I wish they wouldn't, almost be like, wow, like look at this new thing, even though it's not really new. Like the rally towels waving. Me and Kess were talking about this. I can't remember what year it was, but I remember them hyping that up back in the day. And it's just like now it's like thunder sticks or glow sticks or I don't know, whatever it is. And Cord Lehman in my Discord of all people, Cord's really into this stuff. So I always like take his word for it. When something's wrong in a stadium, something's wrong in games.
Oh,
like, there's
man.
no teams that use the lightsabers or whatever. I'm like, okay, Cord, you're spot on. They should hire him. He knows everything about it. But I just wish, they wouldn't hype it up so much. But I guess like when you said they don't have like a ton this year, they kind of have to hype up something. And I don't know. I mean, all this stuff's good stuff. Like we said, nothing's really bad about it. It makes it more authentic. So I guess that's all that matters in the end.
Yeah, like I'd like to see. I'm curious because, like, from what I understand from the blog post, is that like every arenas or the arenas that have authentic openings are gonna get like their authentic. Like, I would love it if the Sharks come out of the Shark Head. Like, that's cool. It'll be interesting that you can put, dude. I don't know if you saw it. Like, you can customize what they throw on the ice.
Yeah, for the hat trick, right?
Like like teddy bears and like fish or whatever. Just like
this is a junior hockey and AHL thing. You know what I mean? When they do the teddy bear toss, I think that's cool. Now the one that I didn't understand was I think it was like aliens. Or something. I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
that didn't make any sense to me.
That.
And here's what so I think did they mention it was only World of Chel that you could do that?
They didn't say it was in Hut. And because you can go in and customize what they're throwing, which is kind of cool, I guess, in a sense. Like for arena customization, you can actually choose what you want.
Yeah.
In Hut, we don't have that, so I have no idea in that sense what they're gonna do there. Like I think that whatever team you pick as your favorite team or that first team, because it's very difficult to get arenas in HUD.
Dude, I finished the year with like 4 of them.
Yeah, and I ripped a couple grand in packs, and let me tell you, I think I got like 5 total. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like you just,
they go for a lot on the auction house too. Like I remember the Vegas one I sold for like 10K. I remember.
Yep.
Sleazy, I gotta ask you, doesn't the Sharks? Don't they come out to Seek and Destroy? Isn't that what they come out to?
Yes, they go to Metallica. Yeah.
Obviously, that'd be impossible to get that soundtrack. Back in the day, I remember you used to be able to edit like your songs. It was so cool. Like on the old gen NHL, you could like. And I remember I used to have I Like It, I Love It, like the guy from the one that's in Nashville. Because I thought that was like the sickest goal song in hockey. Because like the Preds fans would chant like "You suck" and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so every time I scored on Kesso in ESHL when I used to spank his team around, it used to play that song. No, I was kidding. But no, for real, it was so funny.
No, you could do that. NHL 2K7 was like really in depth with that. So
There's
I
some
think you
stuff
can do
like
like
that.
specific teams. So like the Canucks, I don't know if they still do it because I'm not like staying up late to watch a Canucks game. Was it the
Green
U2
Day?
song where the streets have no name?
Yep.
Do they still do that?
Yeah.
So like I had that U2 CD, right? So you can just put it on the Xbox 360 and then click on the Canucks, have that as their song.
Yeah.
It was so much better than what we have now.
I'm wondering if that was an Xbox thing because I'm thinking back to like I remember like one of the coolest like features of the original Xbox was like if you play like San Andreas, like there's a radio station that could literally be like what you had in your like downloaded onto your console. Like I remember putting like System of a Down's like CD like downloaded on my original Xbox, and like that was the radio station. And I'm wondering if like I'm trying to think of a cut like the mid 2000s, because I know you could customize the songs you come out to and all of that. Like those are things that like it's weird. It's weird that they're not in the game now. And I want to ask you if you guys agree, I don't know if you guys agree with this or not, but no longer is the selling point, like think back to like NHL 04 and 05, even 06, that was really before online was a big thing, right? So like the main selling point of a sports game was GM mode. Like that's all it was, right? Like there was no online, and if there was online, it was so new that like, you know, it wasn't, you played couch co-op more like, against your buddies more than you played online. And back then, those little things, like the towels waving, playing on Winter Classic ice, like all that kind of stuff was like the huge selling points of the game. And now it's like because we just don't play offline nearly as much, and it doesn't get enough fanfare because the people that are making content, let's say, or just like the people that are engaging on social media and the stuff that you can show off, it doesn't, you don't get the offline crowd nearly as much because they're offline, right? So I'm wondering if like it's just the way that games are now, where they need to make like a new game mode. They need to make like the way that you're playing gameplay wise, and all these little things that would have been super cool back in like NHL 05 are just like to be expected, or like it's like meh, like I don't like this doesn't impact the game enough for me. And I'm wondering if you guys agree or disagree on that, like if it's just the era of games specifically for sports games.
Yeah, it has to be, because like I think back to like ESPN, like NFL 2K5.
Dude, ESPN
like
games.
they had a halftime show with like Chris Berman in there.
Mm-hmm.
And like nothing, like no sports game that I'm aware of has come close to that level of like detail. But there's no point to do that now because everybody plays online, and the 5 to 10% that only play franchise mode, I think that's just what it's going to be.
And most of them are simming.
Why would you waste those resources?
Most of them are simming too.
Yeah.
Right. Like I know myself. Like I play like a solid I probably play about 50 to 100 hours of franchise mode in a year, and like I very rarely do I play, because playing the computer, I think this is another issue with NHL as a whole. Playing the computer in NHL, we've talked about this, Kesso. It's very easy to play the computer in NHL more than it is probably than any other sports game, where it's easy to defeat them once you get kind of used to it. Like Padre, you can talk about this. Like if you go and try and play Legend in MLB, like even the best players, if you're playing Legend against a CPU, like you're not hitting. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're not doing well. Same with Madden. Like Madden's even worse, because like if you don't have an encyclopedia of knowledge and you can't read, someone's in cover 2 or whatever, like the CPU is going to eat you alive. So I'm wondering if like that kind of plays into it, that it is kind of easier. And you have to think that like humans just lose the, you know, like the intent to want to play something when things are too easy. And I, honest to God, like that's why I don't play like offline, like actually play the games offline anymore. I don't know.
Our attention spans are shorter too.
Yeah.
That was what I was about to say. I was about to talk about kind of think about like MLB. You can actually pick like when you're offline if you want to play fast play or like presentation mode. So the presentation mode would be kind of like what Kessel was saying, where like Chris Berman, they do like the halftime show, they do all this stuff. Like MLB's kind of like that, but you can do fast play. Well, I always choose fast play. I don't care about the cutscenes. I love the detail in MLB. And I think that's part of it too, is they set such a high standard like MLB has and other sports games, that some of the things it's kind of like, well, that should be a given, right? With NHL, okay, well, we should have that. We should have, you know, every player looking the way they should look. You know, every player should have their gear that they wear, you know, because MLB has every single batting stance and every single bat and that, you name it, you know. So I think it's kind of just, we're spoiled in a way with that game and other games. So I think everyone kind of expects, well, NHL should be the same way.
I think
you know what this sounds like to me, Padre? Sounds like you're becoming a bootlicker. You're supporting EA. That's what it sounds like. You've come to the dark side.
I'll say this about EA, NHL specifically. It always blows me away that every one of their modes, if they just worked together, would make an incredible game. And what I mean by that is, like, imagine Be a Pro and World of Chel. Like, your Be a Pro character was what you used in World of Chel. Even in like something like Hut Rush has an XP path. Imagine that XP path was in Hockey Ultimate Team. Like, there's so many things. World of Chel specifically, the amount of detail, even if it's not a ton, arena customization, jersey customization. Like, we don't have that in Hockey Ultimate. It's because it's like 2 separate games.
I think it's just an EA problem, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, and you're basically talking about MLB. Like that's the problem, and it's not an EA
I mean, dude,
game.
even
And
NBA. Like
yeah,
I just started
and NBA
dabbling
too,
in,
right? That's
and
not that's not San Diego Studios making that game, but it's just it must be an EA thing, and they must just follow the model of Madden and FIFA, and I guess that's just how it goes. I guess I don't know.
I started playing. I guess this is a good, nice little segue here. I started playing 2K. The Raptors. I got to work with the Raptors 2K League team this year, and they sent me a copy of NBA. And I'm not a big basketball guy. Like I haven't really been like ever really in my life. But I was like, you know what? I'll try out 2K. So I did the My Career, and like the city and the stuff in there is unbelievable. First, I'll say this about the city: it's not flawless. Like it's very choppy, and the movement is like something out of like Resident Evil from PlayStation 2. Like it is very poor in that sense, and things don't load, but the scope of it is simply incredible. And like I have to wonder if it's because developers now, if you were going to make a sports game, like let's pretend you started back at zero, the code and the foundation of the game would be so different than what they have now, because that's always been what the major issue is that like they can't catch up, sports developers, because they only get 1 year and they're just used to whatever is like left. Like I think that's why is always like Madden is always like the big brother of NHL. Like anything Madden gets, it's not FIFA, but Madden specifically, anything Madden gets, NHL gets. Like X Factors, like anything that Madden gets. We Rivals, I think, started in and Hut Champs.
Started in FIFA.
Mutt Champs, so like that kind of stuff. Like the Champions
that weekend league
yeah.
thing was like Madden first.
When you mean city, are you like literally in the city of Toronto? Is that what you're saying?
It is. It's called like I think it's called the city. I think it's just called the city,
Yeah,
and it's like, bro, there's probably like I want to say like 500 other players that are like in there. And you see them running around. You got to run to your office. You have like quests and stuff. You got to go hit
I think there's like a barber shop in there too, right?
And what's wild is that like let's say someone goes to one of the park courts, like just out and about, and decides to shoot around. It's like it doesn't server and instance you into your own thing. You can literally stand there and see the dude real time shooting like hoops. Like if you were to jump in and play, you could go and watch me play and shoot around at this open court. And then you could actually walk up and like join me, like that kind of thing. There's a story to it. Like it is, and I can't imagine Madden, FIFA being able to even do that. Like the scope and like people are like, man, imagine NHL, you could like rollerblade around or whatever. And I'm just like, there is no shot EA could ever in one calendar year put this in, because it looks like, because 2K came, I don't want to say came out of nowhere, but NBA Live was a thing.
Yeah,
like NBA Live was like the leader in basketball games, and like. It was like 2K's like, all right, we'll put this investment in. They're like, we're gonna triple down on like the 2K League. Their involvement with the league itself is so big. And
do you know why NBA Live fell apart?
I do not.
So I mean, this is all my assumption. Padre will have a little bit of insight into this. So NHL 09. Well, NHL 07 started with the skill stick, right?
Yes.
So they patented that technology. Mm-hmm. David Littman was the producer on that game.
Okay.
So NHL 07 through like 10 had amazing success, like high critic review scores, all that stuff. He was taken onto the NBA Live team to try to incorporate something with that right stick, I believe. Like, I don't know if it really, like, it wouldn't be like a 1-to-1, obviously. It's a different sport.
Yep.
But controlling the game through the right stick movement. They tried to do that. It didn't work in basketball. It sucked. Like, the game sucked. Like, I think they had to skip a couple years. After that, it tanked, right? NBA 2K started to take over. They never were able to catch up with NBA Live. I think they released, like, the last one a couple years ago.
It was 18 or 19, I think. I think it was 18. Yep.
They'll never be able to do it again. And the funny thing, think about this. How crazy is it that we just called the game 2K? Like,
yeah,
it used to be 2K Sports. They made NHL. They made a football game. They made a hockey game. And now we just call an actual sports game 2K. Not NBA. You know what I mean? It's just so funny how much they dominated. I think they dominated more than any game, sports game. Now, Madden is just, like, that's a historical game in general. But I'm just saying, recently, 2K's dominated everything.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, I think that the one thing, though, is, like, the NHL franchise, everyone's like, dude, I wish 2K would make an NHL game. Their NHL games were awful. Like, no one bought them. Like, if you were to go back and play them...
I'm the only guy, I guess. I love them.
Dude, like, they were not better than any NHL version, though.
They gameplay, franchise.
Gameplay, no.
Like
no,
that,
yeah, that's the thing. Like, and now it's like, again, with how we play the game... Like, how we play games now Like the gameplay needs to be, and NHL is not good gameplay, great gameplay, but like, you know, if you're comparing, like, you know, if imagine the NHL competition had a worse gameplay option, like even if they had all of the bells and whistles, like you still wouldn't want it because that's the majority of what you're doing. So it's just, you know, and the WWE game, 2K tanked that. That was a disaster. The
That's what I
WWE game.
heard. Yeah, I hadn't played a wrestling game since like SmackDown versus Raw.
Oh yeah.
So it's been a while. But
Yeah.
I heard the WWE 2K1 was really bad.
But yeah, so like the presentation stuff, I knew that it was going to be light, and when I saw that it was a deep dive, I'm like, oh man, like they're, you know, what's even scarier is that the next deep dive is called Game Modes, which means Franchise Mode, Be a Pro, and World of Chel are all thrown into one, which does not bode well for any of those modes.
Yeah.
Because World of Chel has been the most dominant feature, like new feature thing every single year, and I still state that this will be one of the most important NHL games in its franchise because once cross console works, the game can finally like breathe. Like the developers can actually be creative with the modes and things that they can put into the game, but we'll have to wait and see because. Man, it's gonna be a tough. Man, imagine it. It's funny because at launch of the game, man, cross console is not even gonna be in there, so it's gonna be light on the year-over-year improvements.
So we know how they operate with like they have a long list of like items every year that they want to get to. Some are more important.
They start
than
with like
others.
50.
So like
yeah.
So we know that like cross console is probably number one, right? So once they went with that, they were probably looking at like number 40 through number 50, and it's like, what are the quickest things we can get in that we can at least say that we've added things.
Yep. And like I like personally, like again, knowing like the background of it and like that, I kind of I expected that. I knew the year the cross console came in, it would be tough. But like I've said, I don't know if I said this in a podcast. I said this on stream though. Even like conversations I get with the developers, man, like obviously they're always optimistic about their game and like they're, you know, like it's their jobs, like they're passionate about it, but like I get this sense when they talk about 24 or something, they're like, you know, like 24, like there's just this like, man, I can't wait for 24. And that makes me happy in a sense that like, you know, because 2 years ago, it's not like the developers were like, man, NHL 22 is going to be a banger. You know what I mean? Like it was just like, yeah, we're working on this year. We'll start working like, so I don't know. We'll wait and see. But yeah, it's, I think for offline players, the presentation stuff was cool. For World of Chel, I don't know how much throwing teddy bears on the ice is really going to move the needle, but the authentic fan stuff is really cool. But for Hut, I literally don't other than the new augmented reality stuff, like the showing like hits, but. What are the odds that works in Hut? Because that broke the game.
It didn't work all year, like last year. So, like, I mean, I was kind of laughing whenever I saw that in there. Because, like, obviously they won't acknowledge the prior year and, like, the fact that it didn't work. But, like, I was still, like, 5 to 10% of me was like, you know, we were aware that this didn't work. And, like, but it's working now.
Let's double down on putting it into a thing to hype it up. So,
yeah.
All right, well, you know, it is what it is. But let's move on. Let's talk about, we got a full list of team builders now, because in the last episode, I believe we just talked about the Eastern Conference, and they were some extremely odd choices. All right, very, very odd choices that we, all of us did not really find that made a lot of sense. I got to say, the Western Conference picks, a lot better. So I'll go over some of them right now. And just tell me if you kind of give me like, or like, no, this doesn't make any sense. So these are the 84 overall team builders. We'll do the Pacific Division first, and we'll start with Lanny McDonald for the Calgary Flames.
I agree.
That makes sense. Brad May for the Anaheim Ducks. A lot of like, give me Francois Beauchemin or give me
Sammy Paulson.
Yeah, yes, perfect one. You know, give me an 84 overall. Sammy Paulson was a good one.
I don't know if his rights are in the game, but you know what I mean.
That would have been a good one. Steve Stais for the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah.
Like, I get like I don't know.
I always thought like so. Like,
Alesh Hemsky.
Yeah.
I always thought Stais was bad. Like this is from me watching as a kid, but I always thought the fans didn't like him. I could be wrong.
It's like that. Like, I mean, I guess it kind of fits in the 84 overall. Like if you're thinking of like the tiers of it, I guess it kind of does. But he was like just a middle, whatever. Like wasn't awful, wasn't great. You know.
Yeah.
Dustin Brown for the LA Kings. I hate Dustin Brown, but this actually kind of makes sense because, Dustin Brown is a team builder. Going to get a statue next to Kobe. Brandon, isn't that ridiculous? Padre, come on, you got to have the statue of Dustin Brown outside the Staples Center or whatever
Next
they
to
call it.
Kobe Bryant.
Wait,
Yeah,
they're doing that?
They're doing
That's a
Dustin
little-
Brown statue.
That's
That's
a little
a real-
much, but I understand how much he meant to
Yeah.
the Kings franchise. I just
100%.
don't know if you need to put him next to Kobe Bryant. I'd almost put Shaq next to him before I put Dustin Brown.
Or like Anze Kopitar.
Yeah, I mean Jonathan Quick. I know you don't like
Yeah.
him. I mean Drew. I don't know. It's just a little odd to me because he's not even the greatest king. I don't even know. Is he even in top 5 greatest kings? You know what I mean? If you
No,
think about-
no shot, no shot.
You know what I'm saying? Like Luke
No.
Robitaille. And
This isn't even dunking on the Kings.
Marcel Dion,
Yeah.
Gretzky that you'd have to put even.
Yeah.
It's like,
This is for the other podcast. Guys.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
It's,
yeah.
Kings fans will be like, just because you hate the Kings. Like, let's be honest here. Would you really be okay with Dustin Brown over Quick, Doughty, or Kopitar if they were to give a
It's
statue to
next
one
to
of them?
Kobe though. Like,
Maybe it's not
That's the-
happening, but that's what it was. It's like they're getting a statue outside of Crypto.com arena or whatever. Like it's like
Well, maybe it's like in the back of it or something.
maybe. Brendan Morrison for the Vancouver Canucks. All right with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
That's okay. That's not bad. Nate Schmidt for the Golden Knights. Love it because the team hated when they had to move him. That was like he was the first. We don't give a shit about you guys. We're just gonna try and get the best players. That was like the Golden Knights have just become the poster child of like team chemistry be damned. We're just gonna go get whoever is number one. Alan McCauley for the Sharks. My first 2 years as a Sharks fan, I loved Alan McCauley, and I think I like him more as a Sharks fan because I grew up in Southern Ontario, so I saw Alan McCauley when he was actually half decent. I think there's tons of other options for the Sharks, but personally, I'm okay with it because it was right when I became a Sharks fan. They gave us Vinny Danfus as a Shark, which was awesome because he was when I became a Sharks fan, it was that season, and then he retired during the lockout. It's I was like, this is pretty sweet.
I want a Jonathan Chichu.
Dude, he has got to be one of the most obscure, but people would lose it if he got in the game.
yeah.
How many kids that play this game nowadays would know how many goals he scored that season? You know what I mean? People
He
would
had
be like,
what?
no way he
56,
scored.
right?
56. I have a
I didn't even realize that.
dude, I have a VHS tape because back in early 2005, 2005 in the States or in Canada, you couldn't watch out of market hockey. So the only way I could watch it was when I was on the weekends in Buffalo when I stayed at my mom's house. She had DirecTV satellite, and I would be able to watch the Sharks game because they were out of market. And I remember there was the last game of the season. They were like, we're going to air a 4-minute every single goal of Jonathan Chichu's season. I remember I put the VCR in. I have to find the tape, dude. It was I don't know. It was so dumb. Jonathan Chichu, that would be a perfect one.
Great name.
Yeah. Kale Fleury from the Kraken. They don't really have... I feel like Giordano is the pick here.
I mean, I just don't even know what the Kraken.
I get,
are
yeah,
either. They were just so boring last year. I can't even think of because the first year of the Knights, it was
that's
Fleury,
all generation.
It was Anglin, it was Schmidt. With the Kraken, they just didn't do anything last year, so there was nothing to be like, oh wow, that guy should be the guy. Maybe Jared McCann. I don't know.
I feel like because Giordano was the captain, and
Yeah.
I think that would make sense. All right, so
weird.
On to the Central. Mike Fisher for the Predators.
Great pick.
Love that
Yeah.
pick. I like that pick a lot. Paul McLean for the Winnipeg Jets.
So I don't like this, and I know the Jets take the
Yeah.
actual Winnipeg. It should be like Danny Heatley or something from the Thrashers.
Yes. Kovalchuk.
I don't know. Yeah.
I agree. They mix and match because Arizona. I mean,
Dude, that's not fair. You're taking from
Yeah.
two franchises.
that is a good point. That you do bring up a great
that's
point.
you know what? I don't
Things
like
in
the Jets
hockey.
anymore.
It really is
Isn't it
one of the
Padres?
weirdest things in hockey because they
Don't acknowledge it.
It's the
Yeah.
Coyotes, but it's technically Paul McLean's Coyotes franchise if you think about it.
Mhm.
And then, the Jets are now It's weird. It's one of those tough gray areas.
I'm trying to think of a good Jet from I don't.
What jet are we talking about? Thrasher jet or?
Yeah,
Phoenix
it's got to be
Jet?
Thrasher Jet. Yeah, Dustin
so Thrasher
Dustin
Jet.
Bufflin.
He's better than me.
Brian
He's like
Little.
90.
Oh, they did it
Yeah.
last year. Brian Little
I'm
was last
sick
year.
of
Oh,
Yeah, Brian
yeah,
Little was last year.
that is right.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Tobias
How about
Enstrom.
Pavlik? Oh wait, we can't have goalies. Never mind. Sorry.
Tobias Enstrom.
Yes,
go.
That's the one. It's Tobias
That's the
Enstrom.
one.
That's the
It's
one.
always Enstrom.
John Michael Lyles for the Avalanche. I gotta
I
say,
don't like this at all.
I gotta
man.
say, dude, I don't know why, as a team builder, you highlight the worst years of the Colorado Avalanche. Because John Michael Lyles is like that Duchesne era where it was like awful. I'm pretty sure, right? Like
Yeah,
So why
he
don't
had
you
some
go?
good years before
he was pretty
Duchesne,
decent.
though.
He was pretty decent.
Yeah.
Why don't you go like Milan Hajduk?
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one. I like Milan Hajduk would be a really good one.
Adam Deadmarsh wouldn't be a bad one. You know,
Yeah.
they had a lot of good players.
God, dude, Adam Foote's card in 2022 is just a, but that is a Hall of Fame card. That Adam
yeah.
Foote card. Marek Zhidlicki for the Minnesota Wild. Not a fan.
Yeah, I'm not either with that one. I agree.
I'm trying to think of like
I know they don't want to do goalies, but like I would.
if
like
Ralston would have been.
Ralston. Yeah. What
Is it-
about
is it-
Pierre-Marc
is it
Bouchard or Andrew Burnett?
Glenn. No, I'm trying to think. Someone has a short last name. It's not Gill.
Last year they used Nick Schultz as like their main guy, right? So
Yeah.
they're kind of picking from that era when they weren't very good, but they weren't very bad. You know what I mean? So like, what about remember Antti Miettinen? Remember that guy?
Yeah.
He was always on the team. Like, I don't know, just guys like that are kind of different.
Brian Campbell. If I'm not mistaken, Chicago Blackhawks fans like hate Brian Campbell.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Like maybe I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure I know Sharks fans hate Brian Campbell.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Didn't you guys had him for what, the trade deadline from Buffalo?
That was
right?
it. They got him from Buffalo, and he just straight up left for more money. Like he didn't want to sign with the Sharks at all. I think he took less money to go to Chicago.
Yeah, there's a lot of Hawks you could do. I mean, it just depends like what era you want to go with, right? So it's
Martin Havlat. No, wait, not
Joel
Havlat.
Emerson. Joel Emerson was
Martin
the one
Havlat.
last year.
I'm
He
thinking
was on there.
senator. He was a senator, but was he not a?
Yeah, but he was on
Blackhawk?
the Blackhawks
Yeah.
too, I believe.
Yeah, Martin Havlat.
I mean, just go
And
Dustin Bufflin for 2 teams.
Versteeg, Ladd,
Versteeg's a
Bolin.
good one. I'm thinking like early 2000s Blackhawks when they were awful. Like there's kids that have no idea the Blackhawks were bad, and they were bad. Like dude, the 90s and early 2000s, dude, Chicago was awful. I'm trying to think of like there was like I was going through old NHL games last year. Yo, dude, I was trying to think of like old NHL games, and I'm looking through the Blackhawks. I'm going through rosters, and there was only one player. And I'm trying to think. Oh, it's gonna drive me nuts. Maybe it'll come to me. But
Arneson, maybe.
no, there was a time when there was like one good Blackhawk. I'm sure Blackhawks, and I'm talking like late '90s. This is after Roenick was gone. After
Tony Amonte.
Tony Amonte, bang!
There
Let's
you
go, Kesso. Yeah, Tony Amonte would be a great one. Give me that.
He was the only one on the team.
Yeah, that was it, dude. Like if you go through those old rosters, it was like he
Dude,
was
those
like
old games.
Yeah.
Because like all I did was play franchise.
Yeah,
mode. He'd
same.
be like a 99, and
Yep.
then they'd have like nobody else.
nobody else. That was it. Stu Barnes for the Stars. I feel like online he got a lot of hate. I think that there's better stars for sure. I don't know. How do you feel about that one, Padre?
I mean, I don't. It's tough. I mean, there's some stars I guess you could have chose. I always think of stars in that era that 'cause you got to think like they can't be like great players because it's an '84, right?
Fan
So it's
favorites.
like, right? Yeah. So I don't know. I always think of like Daryl Sador.
Yeah, Stars.
You know, like Brendan Morrow maybe. I don't know. So I don't know like how high you want to get it. You know, overall wise. But I don't know. I don't think Stu Barnes is.
I don't think
terrible.
that one's bad. I don't think it's.
I
that
just
bad.
don't. You know, I don't know like who else. I guess maybe. But yeah.
What are
Jamie
your-
Langenbrunner. I don't-
What? Oh, that'd be. I mean, I feel like he's too good though.
They've had him in a lot. I feel like
They
over the years
do.
too.
Yeah,
So
they
I
use
like
him a
different
lot.
players. Yeah.
All right, give me their take on Brad. You just skated with Brad Boys. He's a team builder for the
I
Blues.
just met Brad Boys this weekend. I mean, he had his best years with the Blues. So it's I mean, just like with the Sharks, just like Kessa with the Penguins. There's hundreds of Blues players I could pop in there, obscure people, that are third, fourth liners. That would be fun, but it is what
Was
it is.
Boys not the guy that like was traded because he had like hype to the Sharks and the Leafs? Am I mixing him up with somebody else?
Yeah, he was drafted by the Leafs.
The
I think
Leafs.
he played only I think I talked to him this weekend. He only played like one game with the Sharks, and then he was in the trade from Boston to the Blues for Dennis Weidman, who's known for falling down in the shootout and also beating that ref with a stick or cross-checking
That
him,
was
I guess.
wild. I forgot
Remember
about that.
That was wild, and he had abuse official. But Boys had his best years with the Blues. I mean, he was and he was unreal in the shootout. But yeah, it was pretty cool talking to him about that stuff, and he was telling me it was really cool too. I forgot about this, but the Leafs alumni, he was telling me about how much money they make just being alumni. He's like, oh, you make like $1,000, you just show up to a golf tournament.
Oh,
I'm
dude,
oh
like
my gosh.
when you go to like anything at like at Roger, or is it they changed
Scotiabank or something
Scotiabank.
now
Yeah, I
it's
don't know
called,
why I
yeah.
always mix it up now because I always want to call it Air Canada Center.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, like there's a ton of them in every game. It's wild. Like
Yeah.
Darcy Tucker, I'm pretty sure lives at the arena, or like and like it's crazy.
He said he told me Antropov makes over 100. That was one that we could have used for the but he was already-
Antropov.
I think he was already
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
Jets, but no. He said he makes over 100K a year just doing stuff for the alumni.
It's wild, dude.
What a gig.
And then lastly, Adrian a coin for the Coyotes. I'm cool with that. I think that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think that's
Yeah.
a good one. So I think overall the West a lot better than the East. I think the East was pretty weak in my opinion. Like I think they like saw they were like everyone was like, dude, no one wants Kyle Quincy as a Red Wing. Like they were like, all right, we gotta step up our game here. So I'll give them props. You gotta give them props when they do good stuff too. So I'm cool with the Western Conference choices. Let's talk quickly before we move on. Our thoughts and like we talked a little bit about this last week, but I guess Kessel, I don't know if we get the game early. I really don't, like, because it gets pushed back later and later. There's game changers. If you don't know, we get the game full. We get our codes like for our full game. Like it used to be like 10 days beforehand. Last year I think it was like 3, maybe
Yeah, it
not
was,
even, or was that?
No, it was 2. We got it on
Yeah.
Monday, and I think the early release came out on Wednesday.
Yeah, it was something like, or the early access came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's happening this year. So it's like I remember last year for anyone that doesn't know, me and Kessa when we grinded the early access because we got to play the full game. You guys had 10 hours of it. It was like it's like the only time we have an actual advantage, I guess. Like because we don't get anything else. Like we don't get insider knowledge of who's going to be a new card or anything like that. We don't get given packs, even though everyone thinks that we do. I wish, God, I wish. So yeah, it was that early access weekend. We get the full copy of the game.
You can thank Rahanic for that one. Boys.
Me and Kessa were just grinding the market, dude. We were paying like $10K for an 80 overall because there was no one up.
They used to give out Wayne Gretzky's like candy back.
Oh,
in the
yeah,
day, and
dude.
they would give you the newest card. Every
Yep.
content creator, like so, Kessa would get 4 Gretzky's.
Well, I
Sleaze
mean,
would
I
get
wasn't,
6
but yeah.
Gretzky's.
I
got
missed
the
out.
second. You missed out.
The year I became a game changer. It was NHL 19, maybe 18. I don't remember. I think it was 19, and they stopped it. Like I remember, I got like 10 packs at the launch of like 19 or whatever, and like that was it. And then there was nothing else. I think it was because GWC was a big part of it too.
Yeah, dude, there were some content creators. Some of them just outgrew it. You know,
Yep.
they had kids, got married, whatever. Some of them, once those free things went away, they were like, wait, I actually have to play the game and
Yeah.
like, actually like entertain people. I just don't get free things anymore. And they just fell off the map.
Dude, if I got like let's say even like $100 worth of packs every like 2 weeks, dude, that's like 3 video. Like you know, I feel like dude,
And they could give them
monetization.
away.
Yeah.
The giveaways were what was drawing people in.
But I'm actually fully on board with like not doing that for us because I think that's just a bad look, and I think it cheapens like when I know when I pull something huge, it's like authentic because I'm like I've spent like $2,000, like I've spent like a stupid amount of money to try and make content and get like cards for my team, right? And it's like, dude, when I pull something, I'm like, oh my god, thank you, like yes, as opposed to where it was whatever.
I laugh at you being like, oh, I was making videos, and Rahanic's first thought was, let me sell these Gretzky so I can get a new laptop.
Dude, Padre, you can sympathize with me. I was an idiot. Like it took me a while to grow up mentally, right? So like I'm like 21, 22. I'm watching these people on Twitch, and I'm like, why are they watching? These people have like 600, 700 people watching them. I'm like, why are they watching them? They suck. They're not good at the game. Me and Padre would try to play them for money. They refused to play us, and whatever. And I was like, oh, they're giving away all this shit from EA.
Oh yeah,
Dude,
that's
man,
crazy.
I never got any of the give. Like, dude, like if I could, I could only imagine what my like Twitter numbers would be if I could be like, hey, I have $2,000 in my team. Even if I didn't get free stuff from EA, I just like could give away my cards on my team. Like, dude, like follow me on Twitter and you can have my full 99 overall team in December. Like, could you imagine? Like, dude, like as a
Dude,
creator,
Josh Fearless is always trying to like figure out a way.
just like work his way to do it, and like just toe the line. I respect it because he tries so hard. But anyways, so I digress. I wish I was around in that era. But for Team Builder specifically, what we were trying to say before we got on that tangent, we like grind at the beginning of the game. I think that if you get the game early, and especially because if you pre-order the game already, you can't do it anymore. you get the 2 team builder packs. So you're already 2 out of 8 towards getting like an 89 overall, whatever the overall is for the big team builders at the beginning of the year. I think that there's a rush at the beginning, but I think that if you don't do it within the first couple weeks, it's going to be too costly because while everyone is going to have the game and try to make these team builders, everyone that pre-ordered the game, now EA, instead of giving packs away, is giving 4,600 points, which drastically changes the market at the first weekend of the game because everyone's going to blow those. And all these cards are going to flood on the market, and then everyone's going to buy them up, and then it's like there's no new packs coming. Like, there's no people ripping, there's obviously going to be, like, rip money in packs and whatnot, but, like, the majority of the player base does not. I saw a stat. This was 2 years ago. Less than 20% of the NHL player base that plays Hockey Ultimate Team ever spends any money in the game, which is staggering when you think about it because everyone just assumes that everyone spends money in the game. Yep. But the number of even when you go over $20, it's like even crazier. It's like 10% of the player base does. So when you dry up all those free packs, man, that's when the market gets hit the most. So Padre, you're very stingy with your coins and what you're going to do. Do you think that you'll make any of the team builders right out of the gate? And if not, are you just going to avoid them entirely?
I'll have to see if they're big. If they're big, I'll probably do it.
Dude,
I'm not gonna lie.
If they're over 6'6", dude, the viewers don't love when you say that just use whoever's biggest, but I'm not arguing that.
I gotta get better at the game. That's if I'm using guys that are.
Oh my god. All right, so we last thing we got a little bit of a leak ski. Best Buy tweeted out, or it was on their site. It was right after the 16th where you could get if you pre-ordered the EA, you got the 2 team builder packs. That's over with now. They got to find a way to get more pre-order still. So Best Buy has a thing where if you pre-order through Best Buy, you get a power-up icon choice pack. So a lot like what we actually got with the full version last year, where you can pick one of 6 power-up icons. They're 82 overall, which confirms that the overalls are being lowered this year because they started at 83 last year. We did a couple things. There's one image, if you haven't seen it, it's on my Twitter. Ray Ferraro is going to be another one. Let's start with Ray Ferraro. Card art's the exact same. Is that really rough?
He was a pick last year too, right?
Yeah, he's fast.
Why is he? I know, but why is it the same people?
That's a good point. I'm assuming because they want to show him some love. That'd be my guess. Like that.
Oh yeah.
I would think that's why. The other thing, so of those ones that were in there, so Ray Ferraro's in there, Dale Howardchuk, good pick as well, and as well as Jeff Neuendijk, all same card art. And I saw a lot of people being like, "Oh my god, it's the same card art. Like this is crap. They're just recycling." I'll say this, man. Those icons are like out of all Ultimate Team modes because like MLB famously they use real upper deck cards or tops or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But there's no graphic design with it really. On most of them. I think that this was a really good mix of like graphic design and real card. That like I'm kind of okay with one more year of the icons like this. Like, I don't get super mad about it.
No, I thought it was a great thing whenever they did that last year.
Yeah. Now, if it's next year and it's the same card art, that's a whole other thing. Like they gotta.
Yeah, that'd be pretty bad.
Some newbies though. Ryan Smith is going from alumni to master set player, so he's going to get the icon treatment where if you pull his 82, you can go all the way up. Card on him, the Oilers, the copper and blue, which is the correct Oiler color in my opinion. I wish they would just go back to that color. Ryan Smith was pretty good though. I looked at his card. His leader's card was actually pretty good. 6'2", I think, decent speed. So
I stopped him in a penalty shot 2 years ago. So
in real life.
In real life, yeah.
Oh, weird flex. All right, so he can't bury the big ones.
I'm just kidding, but he's hilarious. He got kind of mad because we had a stack team in Nashville, and he threw a fit to the tournament organizers.
No,
dude, he's sweaty in like men's league. You ever seen that hit on YouTube? All the viewers out there, go look it up. Ryan Smith, men's league hockey in Canada. He gets absolutely destroyed. And I didn't realize how serious senior A hockey was in Canada, Sleazy.
Oh, dude, like, again, like once it's funny because like baseball's kind of like that too. Because like once you can't play in a pro league, dude, when you go to like rec or beer league, like, dude, there's a lot of guys that were like really good at hockey, just not good enough to keep going, and like that's what they got going for him, right? And Ryan, that kind of fits Ryan Smith's like full motor.
Dude, he
always
got leveled, like cold cock knocked out, like all the way. I was like, holy cow,
That's
it was
terrible.
brutal.
That's
terrible.
wild, dude.
Terrible.
Who would do
That guy's
that?
legend in Canada.
We got Wendell Clark who is now, I believe, wasn't an icon last year. I thought I was mistaken.
so.
No, he got taken away because I'm picturing his like flashback one where they used like the. I did not know he was an Islander. Like there's some you could show like Jerome McGinley is technically a Dallas Star. Like those weird things where it's like no one remembers like that kind of stuff. Wendell Clark is an Islander is something that I did not remember. Joe Newendike, very very good, and just based on I don't know his skating. If his skating is hit hard, that's tough. Although I will say this, I just realized this now. Howard Chuck and Newendike are both 83s. Everyone else is 82. So, I mean, all right. I didn't realize that. And then Brad Richards, he gets the card art, like the master card art. Love that. I think that's a really good choice. Brad Richards is a Lightning. Love that. So, yeah. What about if pretend power up icons stay exactly the same, Kesso, full of void again?
Full of void.
I really hope they do something, man.
Yeah.
They got to do something. If I don't know. It's funny because it went so far the other way. I remember like 3 years ago, I looked back at one of my old videos, and I think it was November, and my entire team was icons because I went after like all the best cards, and it was like full icons, and I was like, dude, I don't have one real life player still on my team. This is stupid. And that was like very few. And again, guys, for anyone that's like, dude, how can you not use these guys? It's like if you're Division 1 player, unfortunately, if you want to compete, you need to, you have to use a certain card to like. It's tough, man. Unless you're Grenna Regs and you can use Johnny Gaudreau.
I just like the voice that you did for the whoever you were imitating. That was kind of funny. That's why I was laughing.
Bro, like it's tough, man, because like I'm a Division 1 player, but like the bottom end of it. So it's like if I don't have a good meta team, it's like, damn, like I wish I could be Division 4 in a sense, because like then you can use kind of whoever you want. It depends on your skill level, right? And that's just the problem with Rivals. So
this isn't on the rundown on the side, but what do you recommend? I guess for people out there like me that aren't going to spend money. I'm good enough to obviously finish high in HUD champs and whatnot, and I'm going to get my packs and whatnot, but I'm not going to spend money. Is it dumb that, like, last year I was all in on the X Factors, and, like, it worked out in some cases with, like, the guys that turned into Team of the Years because I could just trade them in, and it was way, way cheaper than doing it, from scratch. But what do you recommend, you think, this year? Do I stay away altogether from the power-up icons and the X Factors, and just maybe grind it out with base and prime times and that kind of thing?
I think it depends on the again. So you're a very unique case. Like you're in a very small minority because you're trying to compete for GWC. There's a lot, like the large portion of the high end players of this game, they think of GWC launch of the game. It's like they don't care about their team or whatever. It's like how I need to build the best team for GWC. And if that's the case, you're not going to spend money. You're good enough to get enough packs because there as of right now, if there's no change to guaranteed rewards, like if you got a card in top 20, like in HUT Champs, like if you got a guaranteed card in HUT Champs, that's a pretty significant advantage like the old days. But because let's assume that they're not and it's just packs, honestly, man, you do what Flash Davin does, man. You just save everything for Team of the Year and Team of the Season because those two, those are, they will always be the best cards in the game. Right? And the Evo event. The Evo event is another one where, like, not Pionk, it's defenseman I would never recommend. Like, you'll find one or two, like Morgan Riley last year.
Yeah, I'm going to go Game 7, I think, on Evos this year. Like, the guys that I think, like, I'm going to make up something. Like, Anders Lee was one last year that was kind of obscure, but he had the injury, and then he came back, and he ended up being, like, a 90. I think he was a 99 by the end of the year. Like, but those are the kind of guys.
It was risky. I remember, because, like, again, like a lot of my content, a lot of my viewers are like, hey, who do I go after? The Evo event is tough because you have to basically stake your claim. I remember telling everyone that if you're free to play, and it's at a very awkward time in the year too, because you don't have a lot of resources. You never have a ton. So if you're free to play too, you're like, I was like, sell every single thing that you have and get Duchesne and Kairu. And I remember being like, with Duchesne, because he had scored so many goals already, and they just do not release it early enough. In my opinion, it should be the very first event. And now with the season technically starting that's another thing we haven't even touched on. The season starts before we get the game, which is COVID. Like, there's nothing you can do about it, but like, man, that's annoying. It's unfortunate because they come up with these cards and they're all starting at like 74. Let's say for the Master Set players, they try to like prognosticate when they'll get to 99. And usually they're pretty good, man. But the reason why Evo event's my favorite is because EA has no control. They have no control over Duchesne scoring his career best by 13 and having a 99 in December. Like, that stuff is the Evo event's the only event where you can get a return like that on Master Set players. Like, it's the only time. And same with Kairu. Because I'm a Sharks fan, I've seen Kairu a ton.
I told you about Kairu all year too. I'm like, tell all your viewers, Kairu's gonna do it. And I remember you were like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "I'm telling you right now." I remember you making him right before it ended.
30 minutes of forehand, and then I can't remember what event came after, but I remember being so devastated because I couldn't make all of my stuff was gone because I made Kairu, and it was because, again, if you have an insane team, say you spend like a couple $100 on the game, a lot of these Evo guys, even the masters, are not going to be on your team. Like, there's this weird awkwardness where, like, if they're not popping off early, like, that's it. I remember one of my all-time favorite Hockey Ultimate Team cards, Brady Tkachuk, the very first year they did it.
So good.
One of the best cards I've ever used in Hockey Ultimate Team. I could not use his card for a month, almost 6 weeks, because he just wouldn't get up high enough. He'd score a couple goals here or there, but because of the progression, I, like, literally couldn't get him on my team. And then once I got him on my team, I was like, dude, this is the best card I've ever used. Like,
so do you regret not making Duchesne last year? Because sometimes I do because I'm so cheap and like lazy with my team. But then it's almost like in the end, it always ends up working out. I always have the guys I want. My team's good enough to compete. But I was like, for a while, I was like, dang, maybe I should have listened to Sleevesy because, you know, he's like a guaranteed like high end overall guy for like a lot of months. And yes, he wasn't huge, but he was still like really good for how fast he was in the shot.
Before you jump in, Kesso, I just want to forget, like, the thing about Duchesne too, when they use someone like him, his speed was so high that he was the fastest player in the game pretty much, which just takes like that to a whole other level. Like, the risk was so low. Same with Kairu. Kairu had insane speed too. So
yeah, no, but I didn't regret that just because I knew by the time GWC was here, like, we would have like the 97 and 99 overall players. I love the Evo event because there's a lot of like gambling involved. There's a lot of risk assessment, right? So last year, McCann was like not a sought after.
Me and you talked about him every week.
We talked about it
every week.
And then I was talking to Padre about it too. I'm like, this guy's on the first line in Seattle. He's their first line center. He has good like advanced like statistics and stuff. He had good underlying metrics. He's gonna just find himself into 20 to 25 goals. And if he does that, he's gonna be a 99. He was selling for 110K. Like, if you had 1 million coins and you bought him at that, like, you could have had 10 million coins at one point.
I'll never get the Morgan Riley, bro, because you bought like 7 of them, and I was like, I bought 1, and I was like, man, because defensemen are the risk. Because I remember Pionk during the event scored 1, and it was like his only goal for the whole year.
Which is weird because he was always, like, the years before, he scored more.
He did. I think, but like, that's the thing about defensemen, though, because like they could go like 2 months without one. And Morgan Riley, I think, scored. I remember being at an Ice Style game, and you were just texting me like, "Bro, I'm a millionaire," and I'm just like, "You had like 6 of them." I was like, "Dude."
Well, Morgan Riley just flicks those little floaters in there like John Klingberg does. He scores because he runs the power play there. I think this would go with my wish list. We've all talked about this before. I would love in the beginning of the year you have Evos that for the pre-order
every team
to pick from. It would be so cool to be able to pick from. You know, every team one Evo or what, you know. I would just love it because I think it also brings more eyes onto the real sport, which is the whole goal of them creating this video game for like the league putting their stamp, you know, on the video game is they want people to play the video game then come watch the real hockey. So it's like, and like Kesso, you probably watch more Jared McCann. Well, I guess not because he's a Penguin, but you probably watched like more Morgan Riley more than ever last year. Because
I followed like a lot of the games. I would click on the box score every single night just to see if he scored.
Like
I didn't even need to because I would get
Twitter,
like 10 tweets or something like, "Dude, did you just see da?" Like,
dude, every time Duchesne scored, dude, my Twitter, my notifications would just implode, bro. Like, they would just go. But like, that's a fun thing too because I remember Kessel was like another one where me and you were like, this is like a low key, like, because Kessel, he had a really bad year, and shooting percentage wise, like one of the worst shooting percentage of his year too, of his career too. Like, if Kessel was it again, I would bank in Vegas that he will put up. Like,
I think they should use Carlson in Vegas just to mix it up because he had a down year last year too.
I think it would just be super sweet because like it's funny because they do so much homework. Like, talking with the content devs, like they do so much homework and historical like data on when these guys, because they can't just put in like, you know, like, you know, Hall and like be like, put him at an 80 and like this, they have to.
It was the Blues last year. That was a good one.
There was so many, injuries. But like, you know, like give me Give me a Pittsburgh Penguin. Like, let's pretend you got one with your pre-order. Give me the perfect Pittsburgh Penguin and the rating you would start at. Let's say everyone starts at 75. Who's the perfect Pittsburgh Penguin?
So I don't think you can go superstars. You just
No,
can't.
you can't. No, because that would be
So
you
I
can't
would
do that.
go. I would go Raquel this year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
that's a good
perfect
one.
one. Yes.
I think that'd be great. I
Yep.
mean, we talked about the sleeves. One of these episodes, it might have been in the 20s or the 30s because we're up to 46 now. It should be a thing. Padre just said it. Like it should be like a middle of the pack guy that you get with your pre-order bonus. They started X overall 75 would be perfect, and you get them whenever the game comes out.
It would
Padre,
be
who would be yours on the Blues?
Oh gosh.
Buchnevich.
No, it wouldn't be Bucci. I'm trying to think.
It could be a defenseman. They go by two.
Yeah, it could be
It could be
defense
Falk.
and
Dude, you would pick Pareko.
No.
Oh,
I'd
yes,
honestly-
dude, Pareko.
I think I'd honestly pick probably Barbashev. Just
That's a
because he
good
had
one.
that crazy year last year. He's already been one, so that's a bad one actually. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know.
he was one.
It's a weird team. Maybe
There's so many guys that pot 20 goals. That's the thing.
Yeah,
that team is just 20
like
goal scorers.
They're like a score by committee team. I mean, Tarasenko was literally the perfect one last year because he came off like the double shoulder thing and he was so down. Everyone's like, I mean, the Kraken didn't even take him. You know what I mean? Like in the fantasy or in the expansion draft. Like,
Yeah. No, that would
who would
be.
you take on the Sharks? Let's do the Sharks.
I think it like has to be like Eklund.
What about LeBanc?
I want to say LeBanc, but like I think he's a toast, and like he might like I don't know. He's not well received anymore. Like he's probably not going to be on the. Dude, the Sharks roster is all just a bunch of like third and second line veterans. Like it's not pretty.
Well,
Like
this thing would be so great though because it would have so much like crap talking between
It
people
would.
and like oh I took him, you're so dumb for not taking him, like blah blah blah, and like it just creates and it's another reason to keep playing the game kind of because you have like that one little like that golden ticket that could cash in at
you're
the
free
end.
to
It's like,
play. Yeah.
yeah, it just makes it. I don't know. There's just something fun about it. Or I mean, even if you really want to get real crazy, give 4 out for each division. You know, I mean, like you pick one from each team from each division. You know, I don't know.
Something
I mean,
like that, yeah. It would
there's
be
so many things you
it would be really cool. But
Yeah.
all right, I mean, we just actually, I mean, this is actually kind of a segue. I was gonna put wish list at the end. It's something that we'd like to see, but I mean, I guess we kind of covered it there. But we got the hockey Ultimate Team deep dive still coming up at the beginning of October. Give me the one thing that you realistically think could be in there and really needs to be. Castle, you go first.
Leaderboards and rivals. We could use that.
Yep,
he took mine.
I was gonna say, yeah. Give me something else. Padre's probably gonna say leaderboards.
Scoring with players and them getting better or something, right? Isn't
Oh,
that what we
dude,
want?
like parallel system, yeah. I would say just
Yeah.
something new to the weekly cycle.
yeah.
Okay.
One of my biggest fears is that it's going to be squad battles, rivals, champs, hut rush for the 4th year.
Yeah.
Which-
Maybe more ways to like keep track of stats so you can see how each player's doing more than just like, oh well he has this many goals and I'm like, well I banged in like 20 goals in squad battles and it counts.
Yes.
So I don't
Needs
really
To
know.
get one
you
of
know?
those free MSPs.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude.
or like I put it, I can reset his stats in the auction house because he didn't sell. I just, I want to see like just more in depth, things like face-off wins and losses, or
Dude, I
just
just track
stuff like
that, dude. Who remembers the Excel
Yeah.
sheet that
Oh,
I
I
used
remember
for
that, yeah.
4 weeks, bro? Dude, that was like half my stream. I'd play 3 games, and the rest of it would literally be putting all the stats in manually.
I feel like you're in high school again
That
doing
was,
homework.
dude, it was awful. I'm so bad at Excel. It took me forever. All right, guys. I mean, this was fun. We got next week. I don't know if we'll get. I don't know when the next deep dive. The game modes one is going to be comical, I think. So that'll be
When
a good
is that one again?
I don't know. They haven't announced it, but it's got to be next week.
Yeah.
I mean, within the next 2 because and it's October. It says in September, so
I mean, like with women being added or fully out of the game, they should have the World Championship game mode. Why not?
like that'd be sick too, like something like that.
And in a few years they're having the World Cup come back. Like hopefully that's in the game. I don't know. Kessler, do you remember the year? And Sleazy, you might remember this. I can't remember what year it was when they had the World Cup.
16, I think, or maybe
No, even before that one, back in the day, they had like a whole mode dedicated to, and maybe
Oh,
16
yeah,
they did
yeah,
too.
yeah.
But it was like when they played games in Minnesota and like Brett Hall and Bill Guerin, all those guys were on Team USA, and
Yep.
Robert Ashe was the goalie. Like,
Oh.
I wish they'd have like something like that maybe.
I remember in like NHL like 04, 05 when you do like the world versus whatever, and it would be like that EA arena. It was like on like the, I don't know why I just thought about that, but all right, guys. Well, we have thank you guys for listening to the Hut Coffee and Shell podcast. We'll be back with our Atlantic Division preview this week on the real stuff that will be coming on the next episode. But I want to thank everyone again for watching and listening, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.